I would like to start this meeting. This is the second online conference that we have organized for today, and this is regarding the Skillman 4.0 project ideas, creation and matching. We are here collecting participants from different European countries, so nevertheless the participation is not very high in terms of numbers because of this problem that we had to communicate the room address. Anyway, we have the possibility to share our opinions, ideas, and the tool that we have prepared to go on with this matching work. So in the agenda, we have a short presentation of the Skillman project that will be done by Fabio. Then we will have another very short presentation about the two new ideas that we are going on with the Skillman team to present two new projects branded Skillman 4.0. Then we will have the possibility for Joseph and VISAR to introduce themselves and the other eventual participants that we will join us later on. And then we will introduce the online form that we have prepared to make concrete proposals for the project design, and then we will end the meeting updating the date for the next events. So Fabio, the floor is yours. I give you the permissions to share your screen so we can start with the presentation of the Skillman project. Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Hope you can hear me well and you can look at my screen, actually. Yes, my name is Fabio CROCI. I'm the project manager of the Skillman project that started a couple of years ago. Skillman is a consortium made by several entities in Italy, Denmark, and UK. This is a project funded under the Erasmus Plus program. It is a sector skill alliance, and you can have a look here to the main information of the project on the official website Skillman.eu. The consortium was composed by several partners that you can find in the menu in details, but I can tell you that it was composed by 11 partners. In each country we had at least one vocational education provider, one industry, and one certification body. The industry representatives were really interesting because we had inside the consortium, we had Fiat, we had Jaguar Land Rover, and Scandinavian Airlines, and together we have built some innovative training activities based upon the recognition of which were the main focuses and the challenges in terms of innovative skills requests from industry. And we are speaking about the transport sector, so actually the skills needed in the automotive sectors. And during this project, we have highlighted the three main focuses, which are robotics, industrial robotics, the ICT automation in manufacturing companies, and the composite materials, the repairing of composite materials, mainly speaking about aircrafts and aviation sector. So as I was saying, this is an Erasmus Plus project which has produced several documents and resources that you can find in the link you have in the menu, which is the e-learning platform. In our e-learning platform, you will find the ongoing results. We are finalizing the final documents in the very next week, so the project is supposed to end by the end of December, so we will publish all the definitive documents in a very few days in terms of detailed curricula, of audiovisual resources, methodological guides, as well as scientific documents in terms of the state-of-the-art of the vocational challenges in these sectors and other interesting point of view in the focuses of the project. Actually, the aim of the project was to provide innovative training activities directly coming from the need of the industries, and we have produced several units of learning. Each unit of learning can be addressed through one of what we have called different doors. So you can consider the units of learning as part of a traditional curriculum. So you have a traditional curriculum to become a technician, for instance, in composite materials repair, or you can address units of learning in terms of job roles, which can overlap several units of learning, also spreading from different curricula, as well as you can be interested in certifications. All the content of the Skillman project are made upon the ECVET system, the main European framework to allow the certification of competencies recognized between countries. And our project, one of the aim of our project was to provide recognition systems not only in Denmark, UK and Italy, but also in the other countries, European countries. And this is why we have involved in our activities so-called piloting activities, in which we have put students and teachers, real students and real teachers in real classrooms to test our units of learning. They were coming also from other countries outside our consortium, so we had participants from all over Europe and even from outside Europe. And this approach can be seen also in the main website. We have in the news section several examples of our pilotings that has been done, so you just have to take a look to our news and newsletter to have an overview of what we have done. But now you can also test yourself, your institutions, schools, or even industries, what we have produced, because you can check directly the units of learning that are included in the curricula directly through the navigation of the website. So each of those links are connected to contents, audio visuals. Again, we are finalizing these ones, but you can find already the structure, which is based upon the skills and the competencies that are required by each unit. And you will find also the methodological guide for trainers that we are going to publish in the website. All the documentation is free, because this is a funded project by the European Commission. We have only asked to institutions to subscribe to our free membership, and we are actually disseminating all the activities to end this first project. But as Giovanni was saying in the very beginning, and as I think you have already understood, we are already working to new activities connected to Skillman to develop something more. So I think that you can have also some other information about what we have done through our YouTube channel, the Skillman channel. There are several interesting presentations, like our Skillman video promo and some other stuff that have been done during the project, so you can have some more details. But of course, you can also contact me or the other people from CSCS in the next days through email or whatever to have more details. And of course, you can feel free to ask something more about Skillman during this webinar. But by now, I think that, yes, I can end my very short presentation in this way. So feel free to ask something more if you have question or whatever. Giovanni, if you think that this can be enough for this first presentation of Skillman, I give the floor to you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Fabio. That's very good. I see now we have 6 participants. We lost Joseph, but he's rejoined again. Then we have Monica. I like in particular your email. Monica Manu Ciao. Thank you very much to be here. So we have 2 comments in chat. Okay. The presentation, I think, was enough to understand the main characteristics of our project and the deliverable that we have produced. So we are going to a next phase of the project, bringing with us the industrial partners and other relevant partner of the sector of the education and certification bodies that we involved in the first 3 years. And so in this next stage, we are going to think about 2 mainly activities. That one is the valorization of the network. Currently, Skillman network involve around 200 partners that belongs to different sectors and different activity means different activities. They are like social parts, industry representatives, education providers, and various other civil society organizations. And the second valorization that we are looking for is to implement the model that Skillman.eu has developed to develop a curricula and to implement the curricula in the advanced manufacturing sector, extending this experience to other sectors that we are going to define the next days with the industrial partners. This discussion is on, and it's not part of the online meeting. So now we have the presentation of the 2 project ideas. That is very short. I will share my screen if I understand, because I always forget how to do it. I think I have to take back the presentation role. Now I can share my desk. I suppose not. Yes. Now I can go to share this window, and then you can see a form that you have also received the link by email. So you can see that in the form, I don't know if you try to go on to it, that we have 2 potential ideas that we are developing to submit new proposals to the next Erasmus call deadline at the centralized actions in Brussels at the end of February. So these 2 proposal belongs to 2 different lines of sources. One is the strategic partnership in the field of education, training and youth, and the other one is the sector skill alliances that is the same that we have used in the past 3 years. Regarding the first project proposal is the Skillman 4.0 network. We are going to valorize the network that we have built in 3 years. There's 200 organizations, with the idea that is relevant to stress a discussion among different parts, different players, and to give also a backstopping in terms of ethic aspects that are related to the introduction of new technology in the daily life. So it's important to bring this debate among a very different sector of the civil society. It's important to have youngsters represented in this process. It's important to create a debate, rumor around the effect of the introduction of these new technologies or innovative technology or innovative production technologies in the daily life. This means different kind of organizations that represents not only the industries and the learning providers, but also the civil society in 360 degrees sense. For this reason, the network is going to grow up, including other different organizations, and we have tried to contact them in the last weeks, and we had a very good feedback. So, like the participants to these meetings are in this are here thanks to this process of extensions of the partnership members' characteristics. The second proposal that we are going to discuss and then to make as a project proposal to the source of the Erasmus Plus is the extension of the activities of the Sector Skill, the already existing Sector Skill Alliance, to produce new curricula and to implement them. In this regard, the idea is to valorize the method, the model that has been identified and tested in the first period, the model regarding the way how we identify needs and we produce new curricula and we implement them. The project will include activities related to the piloting of the trainings, will include, of course, the curricula development and also the possibility for schools and universities to implement and for companies to implement directly a whole curricula that has been designed in the first phase or that will be completed in the second phase. So we have different kind of activities and different kind of organizations. Depending on the characteristic of each organization, we will make the rules, we will make the definition of the behaviors that each organization can have and the support that each organization can give in the project life. The projects are two, so now the project proposals that we are going to discuss are two, so now it's time to give the floor to the participants to present themselves, and then after this we will see how to fill the form online that will be the way to collect your reactions to this short online conference. So, who wants the floor to introduce himself and his organization? We have in order of the list I see here VISAR. I don't know if I pronounce correctly your name. So, do you want to try to use your microphone and to check? Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Do you hear me?
Good. You can go on. Yes. Very well.
Yeah. I'm VISAR. I'm a country coordinator for the Italian organization in Kosovo. It's called IPSIA. Actually, the acronyms are IPSIA. We are active in Kosovo since 1999, and currently we are working in two sectors. In sector of economical development and in a sector of youth. I think it's enough, or if you have any questions.
Could we know some information about your activities in specific, I would say, what is your capacity to influence your target groups? Do you organize events? Do you have seminars, or do you organize, for example, conferences, or you have newsletters, or how you communicate among your groups, and what could be the possibility to introduce the debate among the such a kind of technologies, like, for example, Internet of Things, or for example, robotics in your target groups, bringing the discussion on the ethics aspects that these technologies brings with them.
Moreover, I'm also volunteering for the other local NGO, and then there we organize bar camps. There is non-formal meetings where we gather the youth, the youngsters from the country, and then we discuss about the new technologies and how they could influence. Like, it's more interactive discussion where we invite the usual experts, and then they share their about the topic that they shared about this. Moreover, we do have also a website, and it depends on the project. We are in contact through the. We do not have any newsletters currently. We used to have before in previous projects. And I think this is the main things that we do. We do have also our volunteer group, local volunteer, but also international volunteers, who we use also through them, like to share the information.
That's very good. Thank you very much. So I think just like an immediate reaction that your characteristics are good for to enrich our Skillman network. So you are welcome, even because of the need to have a large territorial European territorial coverage and partner countries. So it's important that organizations collecting the participation of youngsters are taken on board. So I suppose you have already submitted your online form. Now I will suggest you to make some concrete proposal using this next form. But before this, I would like to ask Joseph to try to use his microphone, and hopefully that it works, and we will listen your presentation, Joseph.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes,
very clear.
Yeah, my name is Joseph. I'm originally from Rwanda in Central Africa. It's a very small country in Central Africa. So I'm the founder and CEO at TERRAM. It's an international organization that is now based in Norway since 2010. So at TERRAM, we work with young people, and we involve in the youth field. How do you define young people? We work with young people between the age of 18 and 35 years old, because for us in African countries, youth goes to 35 years old. In Europe, goes to 30 years old. So we try to blend like both regions. So what kind of program we work with? We are a youth-based organization, non-profit. So we work with the gender education, we work with the human rights education, we work with the democracy education, we work with the human talent ed education, and we work also with the environmental protection. This is the program that we focus on. And doing these programs, when we talk about peace education, it's about violent conflict in developing countries. In this area, we work with the European Aid program that support like youth education in developing countries in post-conflict reconstruction. How can we adjust the community after conflict or after a disaster? So that's one thing that we do. So when we focus on youth education in Europe, we focus more on organizing international training for youth workers, like people working with young people. As today you have several projects we're working on with the Erasmus Plus. One of them is a Key Action 2 project, strategic partnership. That is, we are designing an online game base that can stimulate youth engagement in the society. So it's going to be an online-based debate where the debate and argument will be presented in the form of cards. So we're developing this project with partners from Germany and from Italy. So it will end by the end of February next year. So in this December, we started another project with the key action 2 capacity building in the field of youth that is focusing on drug abuse among young people. So within this project, we're going to do a lot of 3 international training with people involved in drug use on local and international level. That we focus on policymakers like the police, the community, trying to figure out how can we come up with a curriculum that can actually focus on young people, why young people are drawn to drugs and what the factor drawing them to drugs. And after that, we have to organize a street campaign because we also use the form of theater and the arts in order to promote the work that we're doing. So that's going to happen within next year. And in the end, we have an international conference that's going to bring people that are involved in the field of youth prevention among young people. That's going to take place in Uzbekistan by the end of the project. That would be in 2019. So that's how we work, but how do we implement our project? Because we are more an educational youth-based organization, and when we say organizing a training program, we use in that area, we organize 5 days as a training program, then we choose a topic. And then as you understand, we are more focusing on integrating youth, like game-based learning in the youth education. How can we use games, be online games, be board games, in order to integrate young people in the community? And when we do that, we also focus on using workshops as a form of education. Of course, we have different type of workshop that we use, and we also select different educational approach with specific learning activities that we can use, like problem solving, and then we say, okay, it's more critical thinking. How can we allow young people to be critical in deciding what they want to achieve in the future? And we also work with social innovation and social entrepreneurship, because we believe that young people have a lot of ideas, and with these ideas, how can we help them to come from an idea into an action? And we have like incubation phase where we bring young people for 3 weeks, and then they work on their ideas, and then after those 3 weeks, they can actually be able to implement their idea, start up like a startup, or start a project, or start something new for themselves. So in short, that's the work that we do. And as I say, we work in Europe and then Central African countries, in developing countries. That's the main focus that we do. I hope I tried to cover most of the questions that were raised before. If there is something that I did not cover, I'm happy to provide further information as much as I can. Thank you.
Do you hear me now? Thank you very much, Joseph. It's a very interesting presentation that you did, and the organization that you have introduced to us seems very, very relevant for our purposes, to include the different kind of actors and players and to have different point of view. So I think you can find room not only in the network in itself that is expected to provide ethic feedbacks to the choices of the Sector Skill Alliance, but even in the Sector Skill Alliance, because if I right understood, you are talking about introducing of gaming ICT solutions in the education, so you can give us support in piloting, for example, of individual units, for example, in terms of testing with students some particular procedures, and contributing also to the curricula development in itself. These depend, of course, by the characteristic of the training courses that you give, and this has to be investigated more in deep to understand how this can overlap the contents of the curricula that we are going to treat with the next Skillman phase. but of course there are all the bases to go on with this discussion and to understand better the implications that could be given by the direct involvement of your organization. Anyway, now we have in front the possibility then to develop new ideas regarding this interaction among your organization and the Skillman team. So I now ask the last arrived ERDUAN to introduce his organization to us, and then I will go on with the concrete proposals on how to valorize this first matchmaking meeting. Please, ERDUAN, now you can switch on, or I can do it for you. Okay, the microphone. Please introduce us to your organization. And thank you to be here.
Hello. Hello to everyone. Thank you very much for your opportunity to be a partner with you. Indeed, I didn't answer yet to the email which you sent to me, but I tried to connect direct with you. Okay. I'm the president of the Center for Social Innovation and Sustainability, SYNAPSIS World, which is based in Macedonia, Fyrom, if you know where it is. It's, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Excuse me, can you? Okay. It's in the border with Albania and Greece. Our organization just started before 3 or 4 months. And we are working with children and especially with youth, with more formal and non-formal education. Another thing which we are working for is that we are working with the social enterprise, and we are helping the new businesses with training, testers, and to help them to develop the idea how to start their business in the local places. Because in our place in Macedonia here, where we live in, it's a small town, and it's very difficult to start a business, especially what we call the social business. Our organization has different professionals which work in with informatic IT sectors, educational sector, and we are helping very much with our projects. We is now working in 2 projects. We are helping with the social, psychological treatment to children and youth. Another thing, we are helping to the new business because our country here gives a lot of money to start their business for free. And we are helping how to start and to create those businesses with free of charge. That is for shortly what it's about. Any question? If I can answer it.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. We are curious to know, of course, how the partners can give an added value to the proposals that we are going to present at the European Commission. And then you also mentioned, for example, if I right understood, child education. So our activity is mainly addressed to adults or to youngsters, because we talk about vocational training and not child. But anyway, it's important to know that coding skills, for example, start to be built from the elementary or from child age. So it's important to know which will be the effect of introduction of certain technologies in the education, because then we'll have to adapt also your school pathways from the beginning of the school experience. This is not a direct aim of the Skillman project, but it's good to have the opinion of teachers and other specialists that work with child education to know if what we are going to introduce have some effect and which kind of effect can be produced. So I have a question for Tiziana, because Tiziana is the one that has coordinated for the Skillman team the design of the existing curricula. So I was also asking in the meeting before, but it is right to eventually also repeat. But anyway, what's your opinion, Tiziana, about this, the link among the new the innovation and the technologies that we are going to deal with the characteristics of organizations that work even in the child education? Do you see any connection among these two different worlds?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, thank you. So you were asking me if I see a link between childhood age early education on ICT and our project, or in any case the development, that the follow-up of our project. Giovanni?
Yes. What could be the link in your opinion?
Okay, okay. I have to think about that. When I was in Tel Aviv last week, I visited a kindergarten in which they were very young children from 3 to 6, and they were playing with tools and games that were built they were tools to learn how to program, how to plan, and how to use the coding. So it was very interesting for me, because I have seen how a very, very little child can manage this very difficult concept of coding, and also how he and she, because there were also female, can understand the process of manage logical process. So it was very interesting for me. Of course, it was this is an innovation, a very innovative kindergarten, and the program has been planned by the University of Tel Aviv that works on innovation and ICT, and also on manufacturing process. So they selected some few basic competencies. For example, reversal logic, not only inferential logic, and they build tools and games in order to make the children pay attention to this mental process. So it was very, very interesting, and they were able to construct little robots, combining different parts of electronic, I don't know, devices. This was more or less what they do, but it was very, very interesting. So I think that we can try from our curricula to see what are the competencies that are basic, and when I say basic, I mean very important, fundamental for the work, but also for all the high processes that we learn when we are adults. What are the competencies that we can start to develop since the very beginning of human life. So since the children are at a really early stage of their life. So this would be very interesting because as we have seen, what is difficult, for example, on schools and for trainers and also for teachers, is to change their mentality in order to use different logical tools that are the typical tools that we use when we use technologies, ICT, and especially when we have to find out, to discover or to create innovative solutions. So this would be a very interesting field of work and for a project. In this case, we have to do the other way around the process, no? We have to see how and what are the competencies, skills and knowledges that, for example, industries and innovation in general ask us to introduce in schools, and then go back to the basic tools, to the basic basic knowledges, competencies, and skills that we can develop since 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and so on. So I think this could be a very useful project, because otherwise the risk is that we continue to have this gap between schools and then the world of innovation. So this is my opinion, but just okay. A brainstorm.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you very much. I have to interrupt you because it's very dangerous to give the floor to university professors, because they start to speak, never stop again. Okay, so but in this case it's not, because you stopped and we still have 8 minutes to the end of the meeting. So I think that we are collecting relevant food for thought, and then we will have the possibility to define in some way better the ideas that we can bring to this discussion using this form that you had to receive in the last email. I suppose you have this link. So do you see my shared the screen now or not? Maybe not. You are still.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you can see here this is the form that you have received, the link in the last email, is to collect the ideas that you would like to bring to the design debate to be introduced as methodologies or as targets or as whatever you think useful for the new proposals that we are going to define. So you will find in this form, of course, the space for your name and the space for your email that are compulsory, just to be able to reach you back. And then you will find one first 3 options choice. The first option is a new project that I would lead. So if you have in mind a new project, the idea that you are going to design the project proposal, and you, in this sense, then will have some need of sharing or help or what else, then you can find the title of your idea. You can put here the abstract of your idea. This is just a showing text. It's a field that you can fill with your own text, and then you can define what help do you need or you could need for to develop your idea. So in this case, you could write, for example, I need to find partners or to share this or to help to design the proposal or whatever. Instead, the second option is more concretely related to the Skillman network proposal. So what we have in mind? We have in mind to valorize the existing network of Skillman that are around 200 members, active members. And then we would like to organize in the next period conferences, webinars, meetings, and what else is necessary to take feedback from civil society, making debate among the. There is some noise.
Giovanni,
yes.
I can't hear you. There is too much noise.
Yes. Okay. This was the MOAMF microphone that I have switched on now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, very well now.
Okay, good. So I was saying that in this regard we need to have feedback, ethic feedback also from the network, and this is the idea of this project that will be presented, and it's very short description is here. So in the strategic partnership in the field of education, training and youth. So if you have some idea to propose, for example, conferences or working groups or what else that can be adjusted to this idea, you can select the second option here, and then you can put the title of your idea, the abstract of your idea, if you need some help to realize this, and then eventual links to external pages that can describe better your ideas, and then some attachment file if you have research documents or what else that are related to the idea that you are going to present. I recommend you to define the idea in this option that is related to the network, or otherwise to go to the new project that I would lead. Sorry. Then the third option is instead related to any activity or proposal that you would make concerning the life of the 3 years, the next 3 years life of the Sector Skill Alliance, Skillman 4.0 Sector Skill Alliance. This means that you can propose, for example, activity to deploy the application of the curricula that are developed. You can propose testing activities. You can propose that your institution implement some part of the development. You can contribute to the curricula development. So any idea of collaboration that you have in mind, you can, for example, mention that you have developed, like Joseph was mentioning, a special particular tool to introduce the gaming approach to education. This could be brought in the curricula development that Skillman 4.0 team will implement. So you can, for example, write here the title and the description of the results that you have developed that could be valorized in the next project phase. So I don't know if there are questions about this template. All you have received the link to this, and you have the possibility so to go on with this matchmaking debate, proposing to the Skillman team your concrete ideas. Then you will have the feedback and the contact by the Skillman team to define better your active role in the next project. There is any question? Yes, please.
Yes, yes. Yeah, for me, it's a little bit tricky to understand this because I work with different partners in this kind of project. So the first option is clear. It's in the case that as TERRAM purchase as me, and say, okay, I'm proposing this project, which I'm able to lead, which can be part of the Skillman network or Skill Alliance, and that makes sense in one or the other. But when it comes to this, to the second and the third option, I believe that should come from your side, because there's one thing, because when you work with the like youth organization, maybe you
Oops, we have lost contact, I think.
okay.
Oh, okay, now we hear you. Please.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, when you're working with the youth organization, they can promise you things they're not able to do. And for me, I suggest that you say, okay, this is what you have in mind, these are the ideas you have in mind, because I don't know how you structure the project. I just trying to grasp it and understand it. And then for me, I believe for the second and third option, you have to provide us with something to see from our side you have the capacity to do this. If you say it's a conference about what? And then you say, okay, if we can hold this conference in Norway, the society would like to learn about this. And then you can say, okay, we have the capacity, we have the means and the skill to host this conference. But if it comes from me, and then I don't have input about the project itself, I'm new to this project. So that could take like a long time, and in the end, we would realize that there is no coordination. So for me, I suggest on the second and third option, you give us like this is available within the Skillman network or the Skillman Skill Alliance project, and then each partner from different areas, they can say, okay, I fit in here, I have the skill to do this. But in the first one, I can come with that. So I'm trying to see how we can just go around that.
Sorry, because we are going to close, but I want to give you an immediate feedback. Your remark is perfectly understandable. So I don't want that we misunderstand the purpose of this form. This is not to create the project, but to enrich the project with eventual resources that there are. I would give you an example. For example, if you organize an annual meeting among youngsters to debate some special argument, you could mention this here, because we could propose in this sense to interact with your event in a way that fit with the project. Because not knowing very well what you do, we have no idea what could be the proposals that we can make to you. And in the same time, you are saying the same. I don't know your project, so I don't know what I could do for you. So we have to come in a sense where we go closer and we try to find the combinations that could fit for both. So what you say is the same that what we say. We miss some information and then we give information. So it's the same. It's the other part of the mirror. And I perfectly understand for the same reason that you are expressing your remarks. So if you have some product, some deliverable that you have already developed before, some occasion for networking that can be mentioned, this is not the final answer. So this is just a matchmaking process, and then this will give us the possibility to say, hey, look, there is an important conference organized by these guys every year in Oslo, and maybe this could fit with our interest to insert in the project this aspect. And this will provoke the need to come back to you and to say, okay, we have this, we would like to discuss this. In terms of what we are going to do in the two projects, there is a very short description here, but regarding the Sector Skill Alliance, we are going to extend the life of the existing experience of collaboration among educational partners and industry leaders. So we will produce new curricula in the sector, in the advanced manufacturing sector, but the specific contents will be delivered in the next weeks, so we cannot disclose this information now. Then we will go to implement this curricula in the partner schools. We will go to make piloting of the new curricula that we are going to design. This is more or less the contents of the project. In the other case, the network, of course, this will regard the life of the network. We will organize conferences, debates, and we will join the two main aspects that are in our view. One is the technology in itself, and the other one is the ethic aspect. We have to join these two aspects and to give relevant results in terms of influencing the decisors, making policy reports, or what else can help the debate that we can see around the innovation, technologies, and what else afflict our daily life. So more or less, these are the targets that we want to address. And we expect any idea that could be interesting, could be valorized in terms of past experiences or resources that you can put on the debate table. There are any other questions or remarks?
Can I ask you? I have a
please.
kind of maybe technical question. If this project will realize in the future, I mean, it's to be kind, it's a very huge project. You think that this project would be held in which place in our country here, which we are working, or in your country, in Italy, or where?
Okay. I don't know if I have right understood regarding the geographical coverage. The project,
yes.
especially the networking project, is looking to address a large number of countries, and it is expected that among the network there will be the open calls to organize conferences and networking activities, and the central Skillman.4.40 network will support the organization. The central Skillman 4.0 committee will support the realization on site of this conference. So you will make application inside of among the network. There will be applicants to ask to bring ownership of one conference or one workshop or other activities. In this sense, all the members will move to this country. So it's not possible to say now who will be the winner of this, because there will be an inside call asking to the network member to take ownership of these initiatives. Of course, some of these initiatives will be driven at European level and will be maybe in Brussels or wherever, in Berlin or wherever, so the members, the full members will decide, but there will be a series of activities that will be deployed in all the participating countries. Regarding the eligibility, then we will have an assessment for this, and so I cannot give you any feedback in this moment, because we have to check about your characteristics in terms of eligibility for the full memberships or for the other parts of the activities that anyway we will implement apart the full membership application or not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good. Okay, if there are no other questions or remarks, I would like to thank you all for this time shared online. We are very happy that you are interested to collaborate or to give support anyway to this process, and I think that the characteristic of the institutions that you have presented here are very interesting for our project life. The Skillman consortium is of course composed by very high visible organizations like Jaguar Land Rover or Fiat or Scandinavian Line, but we also need the civil society point of view, and we need your contribution to have an ethic development and to make a proposal that corresponds to the real needs of citizens. Thank you very much for participation, and please do not miss to fill this online form that will allow us to call you back and to discuss in detail what could be your specific role in the next stage of the project. Feel free to write any idea that you have. Do not worry if apparently the idea could be not really fitting, could not really fit with the Skillman general terms, because maybe the idea instead could be very important to valorize our mission. Thank you very much, and do keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Good night.